Hieronymus Bosch painted the Seven Cardinal Sins on the table. At the center of this painting, we can see Jesus emerging from a grave accompanied by a text stating, "Beware, beware, the Lord sees." And notice how the circles at the center represent an eye. Together, they refer to the seven sins which are shown in a large circle. The message is clearly that God observes all our behaviors, including our sins. The seven sins include wrath, envy, greed, gluttony, sloth, lust, and pride. In the remainder, I will discuss each of these seven sins in isolation and will select artworks that just show an individual sin. The first sin is wrath, also known and expressed as anger or rage or even hate. There are many stories from history that contain scenes with this sinful emotion. Just think about the Jewish people after the arrest of Jesus. Or the wrath of the Persian kings, known as Ahasuerus, as captured here by Jan Steen. Or the wrath of Achilles after his best friend Patroclus was killed and an incredible fury was unleashed in him. Or even in this painting by John Martin, depicting the end of the world as described in the book of Revelations. Bosch captured this sin more pragmatically, with two peasants holding weapons engaging in a brawl before an inn while a woman tries to stop the man on the right. Next is envy or invidia, the sin of looking jealously at the traits or possessions of someone else. It's not the easiest sin to depict in a way that people immediately understand it. Around 1820, for example, Théodore Géricault depicted this woman who suffered from a mental condition related to jealousy. Invidia is a Latin word which means something like to look too closely, and similar to Géricault, Giuseppe Bezzuoli also captured this emotion in a powerful way with this woman holding a snake, obsessively looking at something outside the image. But more commonly, artists try to connect this sin to well-known narratives such as the story of Cain and Abel, captured here by Gustave Doré. After both Cain and Abel made an offer to God, only Abel's offer was accepted, making Cain very jealous, which led him to murdering his brother. Greed or avarice is a desire for material and earthly wealth, something that is sinful as it distracts you from thinking about the afterlife where you cannot bring all these valuable things. But it can also refer to a strong desire for intangible things like status and power. Evelyn de Morgan captured this sin by showing someone worshipping Mammon, which is according to the New Testament the personification of material greed. But the most common way to depict greed was by showing somebody who had a great interest in money, like in these works where the bags of money and coins are prominently displayed in the light. Gluttony refers to consuming and indulging too much food and or drinks, basically to the point of waste. This painting from 1804 by the German artist Georg Emanuel Oppis shows the stereotypical case where a man is eating too much. But gluttony can also refer to consuming very expensive things or even eating or drinking too eagerly. It's one of the easier of the seven cardinal sins to depict, as an abundance of food is pretty easy to recognize. Usually there are people present, but even a still life, like this painting from 1896 by the Swiss artist Albert Anker, can symbolize the excessive pleasures of life. The sin of sloth is a bit different from the other six ones. Where the other sins are immoral acts, sloth refers to an omission of some sort. Laziness or indolence are common ways in which this sin is depicted, showing how people have fallen asleep while they are supposed to do their jobs. Or this lady who just looks like she has zero energy and motivation to do anything. Interestingly, the sin of sloth also has a more positive association in the theme of dolce far niente, which means the sweet art of doing nothing. Late neoclassical and pre-Raphaelite artists like John William Godward and John William Waterhouse like to depict the idyllic world of ancient Rome, where people were just chilling and everything was good and happy. But this goes of course directly against the warning that sloth or laziness could also be a cardinal sin. Lust or luxuria is another sin that is relatively easy to depict, and it has been the subject of many paintings, especially mythological ones. For example, Aphrodite or Venus was the goddess of lust, and she has been a perfect excuse for numerous artists to include some nudity in their paintings without getting in trouble. And especially her affair with Eris or Mars is great to depict lust. But other stories have also been popular to depict lust, like the story of Faust and Lilith. And there also have been more allegorical paintings of lust, like this alchemist who is tempted by the figure of lust. Pride is generally considered to be the worst of the capital sins, the one that leads to many of the others. In some cases, it is depicted in a similar way as vanity. Jacques Delange will capture it through a woman who is looking into a mirror while making herself pretty. Another way to recognize this sin is to look for the presence of a peacock spreading its feathers, as you can see on the right of this painting, which is an allegory of pride. And also in this painting from the second half of the 16th century by Jacob de Bakker, in this context, it is also referred to as superbia or haughtiness. Pride is also known as hubris in Greek. This sin is very much attached to the mythological story of the fall of Icarus, about their father Daedalus, who made wings for him and his son to escape an island. But he warned his son for hubris, don't fly too low because the feathers may get wet. But also don't fly too high, because the wax holding the feathers together will melt with the sun. But Icarus did not listen, which led to his fall and death. Well, I hope this was a nice overview of the 7 capital sins. There are many artworks that I have not shown here that show multiple sins simultaneously, as one sin can easily lead to the next one. Like this depiction in a German manuscript from the 15th century, which humorously depicts both the sins of gluttony and lust. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please support the channel in the usual ways by liking, commenting and subscribing. Thanks for watching.